Hello, y'all. Okay, so I know that I missed today, but again, my kiddo comes first before anybody else. And when my kiddo is sick, I have to move things. So we are going to go back to reading our favorite book, The Mandate for Leadership. If you are just joining us and have never joined us before, welcome. If you're coming back in, welcome back. I am reading the Mandate for Leadership, the Project 2025 Heritage Foundation manual from start to finish. And the entire thing I would like to get done before the election day so that we can talk about it. Now, if you've been following, you know that we are going to start on page 185, but let me explain normally what happens. So I normally have a Twitter space going at the same time as a TikTok live. Tonight I'm not doing Twitter. My other phone is acting up and I'm fucking over it. I will read live here, and then after I am done reading, I will upload it to my YouTube. So if you miss anything, feel free to listen there. I also am working on summaries. There's a playlist at the top right here. If you go to my bio right there, there's a playlist that says Playlist Project 2025. And those are anywhere from like 5 to 10 minute summaries because you can only do 10 minutes at a time. So, and I try to break down the actual highlight points from what those are. And right now we're on part 8. So, and those are going to be, again, smaller, fragmented than I'll actually read because I just want to get into what it says as opposed to just reading out loud. Because a lot of this reads like stereo instructions. It's a little bit nauseating. I'm not going to lie. But you'll read, and then you'll go, aha, I get it, I see it. If you have followed along, again, we are on page 185. We have gone through all the intro, all the bios, all the contents of what's actually in here, the contributors, the authors. We went through, again, we've gone through quite a bit of this, and it is a fucking long read, to say the least, but it is important. It is important to understand what's in this because as soon as people hear Project 2025, they're like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. I just need it broken down for me. So that's what I try to do. I'm going to read it all. I'll go back and do summaries, and then when we're completely all done, we'll have discussions about it. Again, I try to read anywhere from 8 to 10 pages a day. Sometimes it's up to 20 to 25. It just really depends on how it actually is going. So what we are starting with tonight is it's the end of page 185 or 184 if you're following along. And we're talking about the Middle East and North Africa. Whoop. So, as always, guys, I will get out my highlighters, and as we go along, I will see something that catches my eye that I will want to use in a summary, and I'll go, oh, gotta use a highlighter. So, for those in my comments, most of the time I don't see a lot of these comments, so I apologize. And to my gifters, I apologize if I don't see them. I appreciate you. Oh, thank you, Halo, for the spicy chili. Look, again, guys, I appreciate those. Gifts are always appreciated, never expected. I just want to get the information out to you. So I appreciate if you want to listen, like, follow, share, comment, subscribe, do all that hoity-toity, shameless plug shit. But we are actually talking about the Department of State. And from Chiron Skinner, who we actually found when we went back and looked, Chiron Skinner is actually the 18th. So there are 18 of the 36 authors for Project 2025 have worked with and or for Trump. So every single time somebody says, no, it's been disproven, nah, his campaign, nah, Trump 2024, they're full of fucking shit, okay? He is mentioned in here over 300 times, and in the bios, it says who the author was and whom they worked for and where they were. And this is no different. So 18 of 36 authors directly worked with Donald Trump. And these are people who write chapters in this Project 2025. He is Project 2025. Don't get it twisted. He didn't start it, but they have groomed him for it, and he is all about it. The only reason that he's bitching about, I'm not tied to this right now, is because he's getting pushback. He fucked with women, and now women are fucking back. Plain and simple. So, we were, again, Department of State and what the changes are. We are starting off strong, talking about Middle East and North Africa. We just went through and did, I think we did Venezuela, North Korea, Russia, People's Republic of China, and how they're pivoting. Okay, so bottom of page 184, starting Middle East and North Africa. Guys, I'm going to botch names. I'm going to botch words. I'm trying to get information out. Do with it what you will. I'm not a professional. I just want to read for you so you know what's in here. So, the next administration must re-engage with the Middle East and North African nations and not abandon the region. Without U.S. leadership, the region may tumble further into chaos or fall prey to American adversaries. The recommendation requires a multi-dimensional strategy. So throughout these guys, you're going to see normal processes of like, here's what this person does in this role and does this and blah, 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 blah. But here's the recommendation and here's what we're going to do. Like we've already seen like little tiny pieces like, we're going to just get rid of climate change here. You know, no trans in the military, but they'll put it in these little tiny like 2-line, they'll call it woke. They'll call it, whatever they want to label it as, leftist. It's just this little blurb among this bullshit sea of 920 pages. Yes, I printed it out. People said it's available online for free. I'm aware it's available online for fucking free. I need a hard copy, because this is one manual. And it's so large, it goes into 2. So we are on page 184 of 120. But here is their multidimensional strategy when it comes to having Middle East and North Africa. First, the U.S. must prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear technology and deliver capabilities, and more broadly, block Iranian ambitions. So that's the first thing. So that's a highlight, because we definitely want to come back and summarize as to why that means that. This means, inter alia, reinstituting and expanding Trump administration sanctions right there. So for those of you saying he's not in this, they are literally saying this means inter alia, reinstituting and expanding Trump administration sanctions. So sanction Trump put in, Biden took away. They're saying day one, this shit needs to happen. Providing security assistance for regional partners, supporting through public diplomacy and otherwise freedom-seeking Iranian people in their revolt against the mullahs, and ensuring Israel has both the military and the means and the political support and flexibility to take what it deems to be appropriate measures to defend itself against the Iranian regime as its regional proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Right here. And this was written, guys, before last October. So if you're following along on page 185, right there, it says, highlight that. Ensuring Israel has both the military means and political support and flexibility to take what it deems to be appropriate measures to defend itself against the Iranian regime and its regional proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. That is their first thing for their multi-level approach. They wrote this before October of last year to make sure Israel has everything they need. See how that works? Second, the next administration should build on the Trump administration's diplomatic successes by encouraging other Arab states, including Saudi Arabia, to enter the Abraham Accords. So that's the second one. That's the second piece of their multi-level. Related policies should include reversing as appropriate the Biden's administration degradation of long-standing partnership with Saudi Arabia. The Palestinian Authority should be defunded. This is in their book. This is what they talk about right here. Page 185, black and white, the second damn bulletin. Let me see. 3 sentences down. Right there. The Palestinian Authority should be defunded. A further key priority is keeping Turkey in the Western fold and a NATO ally. This includes vigorous outreach to Turkey to dissuade it from hedging toward Russia or China, which is likely to require a rethinking of U.S. support for YPG/PKK, the People's Protection Units, the Kurdistan Workers' Party Kurdish Force, which Ankara believes to be an existential threat to its security. For the foreseeable future, and much longer than the new administration, Middle Eastern oil will play a key role in the world economy. They're doing it for oil. Give Israel everything they want to go against Palestinian right here in their manual. This isn't me preaching. This isn't me talking about what's happening. This is what is in their manual. They've written this right there. 185, page 185. If you want to do anything when you're talking about Israel and Palestine, go look up page 185. That is what they plan to do. That is what they want to do. That is what they intend to do. And they're going to keep doing it. So, yeah, that's pretty, It's all about oil. Oil and power. Therefore, the U.S. must continue to support its allies and compete with its economic adversaries, including China. Relations with Saudi Arabia should be strengthened in a way that seriously curtails Chinese influence. So, which is it? Do you want to include Saudi Arabia to enter the Abraham Accords and strengthen it to curtail against China? That's crazy. So, we've got ensure Israel has everything they want. We want to defund the Palestinian Authority. Palestinian Authority should be defunded. Give Israel all they want. Middle Eastern oil will play a key role. This is their playbook. This is exactly what Donnie has said. I don't understand how you can take that as anything other than that. Third, in its U.S. national interest to build a Middle East security pact that includes Israel, Egypt, and Gulf states, and potentially India as a second Quad arrangement, protecting freedoms of navigation in the Gulf and in the Red Sea/Suez Canal is vital to the world economy and therefore to U.S. prosperity as well. In Northern Africa, security cooperations with European allies, especially France, will be vital to limit growing Islamist threats and the incursion of Russia's influence throughout the positionings of the Wagner Group. I'm going to highlight that one right there. Okay, now the fourth bulletin. The U.S. cannot neglect a concern for human rights and minority rights, which must be balanced with strategic and security considerations. They don't give a damn. That's fluff. Special attention must be paid to challenges of religious freedom, especially the states and status of Middle Eastern Christians and other religious minorities, as well as human trafficking endemic to the region. So they're talking about Middle Eastern Christians should be protected, but nobody else in the Middle East could have any other religion, right? So, but that's what they're calling, we make sure we have to be concerned with that. Now we're on to Sub-Saharan Africa, page 186 at the top. Africa's importance to the U.S. foreign policy and strategic interest is rising and will only continue to grow. Its explosive population growth, large reserves of industry-dependent minerals, proximity to key maritime shipping routes, and its collective diplomatic power ensures the continent's global importance. Yet, as Africa's strategic significance has grown, the U.S. relative influence there has declined. Terrorist activity on the continent has increased, while America's competitors are making significant gains for their own national interest. The PRC, this is the People's Republic of China. If you're not familiar with, every time they say the PRC, that's what they're referring to. The PRC's companies dominate the African supply chain for certain minerals critical to emerging technologies. African nations comprise major country bloc elements that shield the PRC and Russia from international isolation for the human rights abuses, and African nations staunchly support PRC foreign policies on issues such as Hong Kong occupation, South China Sea dispute arbitration, and Taiwan. Oh, look at you, Rhonda, coming with the roses. I appreciate you coming back to my live. Thank you so much. Again, guys, I look, coming in strong, girl. Thank you. Again, gifts are never expected, always appreciated. And if I don't acknowledge you, I apologize. It's just because I'm only seeing out the corner of my eye. I just saw somebody else with the roses. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you guys. Just remember to like, comment, follow, share, subscribe, shameless plug, all the shit. And if you miss it here, I'll re-upload it to my YouTube later because we're just going through Project 25. Oh, thank you for the heart. I appreciate that, Cheryl. And this is what happens with my ADHD brain. I forget where I am. So apologies for that. We're talking about sub-Saharan Africa. Where are we? Okay. The new administration. Okay, so this is going to be the highlight. The new administration can correct the strategic failing of existing policy by prioritizing Africa and by undertaking fundamental challenges in how the United States works with African nations. At a bare minimum, the next administration should. And these are their bulletin points for this. 1. Shift strategic focus from assistance to growth. Reorient the focus of U.S. overseas development assistance away from standalone humanitarian development aid and toward fostering free market systems in African countries by incentivizing and facilitating U.S. private sector engagement in these countries. Development aid alone does little to develop countries and can fuel corruption and violent conflict. While the United States should always be willing to offer emergency humanitarian relief, both U.S. and African long-term interests are better served by a free market-based private growth-focused strategy to Africa's economic challenges. So that's 1. Number 2, counter malign Chinese activity on the continent. This should include the development of powerful public diplomacy efforts to counter Chinese influence campaigns with commitments to freedom and speech for the free flow of information, the creation of a template of digital hygiene program that Africa countries can access to sanitize and protect their sensitive communication networks from espionage by the PRC and other hostile actors, the recognition of Somaliland's statehood as a hedge against the U.S.'s deteriorating position in Djibouti, and focus on supporting American companies involved in industries important to the U.S. national interest or that have competitive advantages in Africa. Oh, thank you, Sheila, for the heart. I appreciate you. That was one sentence. You're going to hear me say this a lot, guys. They do not know how to fucking write a sentence. There is no comma, there's no period. That was one damn sentence. Oh, thank you for only me. I appreciate that. It's meant to have so many words, and then there's just the one they don't want you to read. So, number 3, counter the furtherance of terrorism. African country-based terrorist groups like Boko Haram may currently lack the capability to attack the United States, but at least some of them would eventually try, if allowed, to consolidate their operations and plan such attacks. The immediate threat they pose lies in their abilities and willingness to strike American targets in their regions of operation or harm U.S. interests in other ways. The U.S. should support capable African military and security operations through the State Department and other federal agencies responsible for granting foreign military education, training, and security assistance. I'm going to highlight that. They should support an African military. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th bulletin. Build a coalition of the cooperative. Rather than thinning limited federal resources by spreading funds across all countries, including some that are unsupported or even hostile to the United States, the next administration should focus on those countries with which the U.S. can expect a mutually beneficial relationship. After being designated focus countries by the State Department, such nations should receive full suite of American engagement. That said, the next administration should still maintain a baseline level of contact, even with those countries with which has less than fruitful relationships, in order to encourage positive developments and be in a position to seize unexpected diplomatic opportunities as they arise. So we're going to keep it on the low until we need you. We're going to keep it on the low until we need you. Got it. Focus on core diplomatic activities and stop policies birthed by the American culture wars. Right here. So we're still talking, we're talking about sub-Saharan Africa, and they're going to bring woke ideology into it. So page 187, the third bulletin down, it says, African nations are particularly and reasonably non-receptive to the U.S. social policies such as abortion and pro-LGBTQ initiatives being imposed on them. The United States should focus on core security, economic, and human rights engagement with African partners and reject the promotion of divisive policies that hurt the deepening and shared goals between the U.S. and its African partners. So it's saying in those countries in Africa that shun LGBTQIA, that shun abortion, they should link up. They should link up. So they're saying, yep, really support those ones, but maybe just trail back a little bit on the other ones. Oh, thank you for that, Hilo. I appreciate you. I don't even know. It's like a TikTok. I don't know. I don't even know what that is. It's just a TikTok neon sign. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. Now we're going to go on to Europe. American foreign policy has long benefited from cooperation with countries of Europe, generally the EU, and any conservative administration should build on this resource. Yet the transatlantic relationship is complex with security, trade, and political dimensions. First, the Europe, Eurasia, and Russian region is made up of relatively wealthy and technologically advanced societies that should be expected to bear a fair share of both security needs and global security architecture. The United States cannot be expected to provide a defense umbrella for countries unwilling to contribute appropriately. You remember when Donald's like, if they don't pay, we're taking our shit away. That's what they're referring to. The United States cannot be expected to provide a defensive umbrella for countries unwilling to contribute appropriately. At stake after 2024, we will be examining the status of the Wales pledge of 2% of gross domestic product toward defense by NATO members. The new administration will also want to encourage nations to exceed that pledge. Second, transatlantic trade is a significant part of the global economy, and it is in the U.S. national interest to amplify it, especially because this means weaning Europe of its dependence on China. However, there are also transatlantic trade tensions that disturb the U.S.-EU relationship that have been evident across the administrations. The U.S. must undertake a comprehensive review of trade arrangements between the EU and the United States to assure that the U.S. businesses are treated fairly and to build productive reciprocity. Outside the EU, trade with the post-Brexit UK needs urgent development before London slips back into the orbit of the EU. Hold my fucking beer. So again, guys, this was all published back in 2023. We're now in 2024, so there are things that are outdated that they can't even. Oh, well, we're gonna try to make sure London doesn't slip back into the orbit. London's done with your shit. France is done with your shit. We're up next. Third, in the wake of Brexit, EU foreign relationship policy now takes place without UK input, which disadvantages the United States, given that the UK has historically been aligned with many US positions. Therefore, U.S. diplomacy must be more attentive to the inner EU developments while also developing new allies inside of the EU, especially in the Central European countries of the eastern flank of the EU, which are most vulnerable to Russian aggression. So that's what they're talking about as far as Europe. Now we're on to South and Central Asia. Let me get a lighter one for that. Many key American interests and responsibilities are found in South Africa and Central Asia, specifically continuing to advance the bilateral relationship with India to mutual benefit, its crucial objective for U.S. policy. I just want to make sure. Oh, there we go. That's probably a little bit better. I apologize. I was like, I don't think it's heard very well, but I can see. let's just say, I always take just a couple seconds every now and then to look at the flood of comments. So let me just take a look. Project 2025 was written in the 80s, and it has been updated 9 times. It's been revised 9 times. It started as a 3,000 page document and has dwindled down to 920. So if you're going to come at me with spitting bullshit, make sure that you understand what the fuck that you know that I don't. Or do you know what I know? You know what I mean? It's like, really? Think about it. No shit. It was started in the 80s. It was started with Reagan because evangelicals were pissed off that Jimmy Carter actually acted like Jesus, and they couldn't. So they started this shit back when Reagan was there and got him on board. So no fucking shit, it started in the 80s. They've been trying to instill it since then. Boom! With the knockout. Thank you, Halo. Open this up to debate. She won't. Debate what? Trump recently praised... Yeah, he did. Trump's not going to be able to back away from this. He's not... Trump's biggest mistake was fucking with women's rights. And then being like, no, I picked JD. Why did you pick JD? Because now nobody wants that couch fucker. Okay? Nobody wants the dolphin blowhole. You know what I mean? He did this to himself. You fucked with women, and now women are fucking back. He was playing checkers while we were playing chess. That's plain and simple. That's what that is. That's what that will always be. I will tell you right now, he's going to fucking lose. And I understand that a lot of you are going to be upset with that because you've bought into whatever fucking Kool-Aid he is still selling you. Let me explain to you. He's not going back to the White House. I know that sucks. You can get out and vote. You can do what you have. He does not have the numbers. Why do you think he keeps saying, don't worry about it, you don't have to vote. Don't worry about it, you don't have to vote. Don't worry about it, you don't have to vote. Because he knows damn well it doesn't matter about the vote. He's got electors that will say, we're not going to certify it. And we're like, yeah, the fuck you are. We're not having January 6th again. It's not going to happen again. He knows he is lost, and he is literally shitting himself. So he's not going to win. All the Trumpers can come in here and say whatever the fuck they want to get it off their chest. They can come in here and talk about all the shit they want to talk about MAGA. They're going to talk about my looks. They're going to talk about how Trump is disavowed it. They're going to say whatever they want. But remember, every single time you fucking comment, you pay me. So remember that wisely. I don't give 2 shits what any of you fucking keyboard warriors want to come at me with. My looks, my height, my weight, my age, my teeth, my sound, anything. You say I'm a lesbian. I've been married to a man for 24 years. You feel sorry for my children. I have 1 child that I love amazingly, and you should be happy for him. I am a woman who is confident in who the fuck I am and wants to give knowledge to people. So if you want to come in here and say oink oink, piggy piggy, Trump 24, MAGA, blah blah, do whatever the fuck you gotta do, boo, because you will never fucking break me. I will say this every day, every single fucking way that I can. It pisses you white incel males off, and you fucking Trump stay-at-home moms off, that I do not give a flying fuck what you think. I will give you the knowledge, I will give you the power, and then you can come in here and say what you need to. But every single time that you don't shut the fuck up, you pay me. And every time you do shut the fuck up, you get pissed off that you didn't say anything. So then you try to double down. And every single time you do, you boost my algorithm, and you boost my dopamine, and you boost my serotonin. I will say it every fucking day. You saying shit about me makes me feel good, because I have heard every single thing you are ever going to say in its entirety 30,000 times over. So you coming in here onto a TikTok live, calling me a fatty, saying Trump's gonna win, tell me to go on a treadmill, eat less fucking fast food, bitch. Marjorie Taylor Greene has talked shit about me personally. Do you really think a fucking Trumper with a fucking lifted truck and nuts on there is gonna fucking break me? Honey, it's cute, but no. So, now that the rant is over and that you are going through here and still commenting, remember, every single time you comment shit about me, you pay me. So thank you. I appreciate the love. Oh, thank you for the Lightning Marie. Let's get back to actual knowledge. Thank you for your first gift, Max. I appreciate you. We are talking about South and Central Asia 188 in the middle of this Project 2025. Many key American interests and responsibilities are found in South and Central Asia, specifically continuing to advance the bilateral relationship with India to mutually benefit its crucial objective for the U.S. policy. India plays a crucial role in countering the Chinese threat and securing a free and open Indo-Pacific. I always call it Indio. I don't know why, just some Indo. It is critical security guarantor for the key role for air and sea travel, linking East and West, and an important emerging U.S. economic partner. For instance, the 2019 Department of Defense Indo-Pacific Strategy Report noted that the Indian Ocean area is at the nexus of global trade and commerce, with nearly half of the world's 90,000 commercial vessels and 2/3 of global oil traveling through its sea lanes. Right there. That is very important. So we're going to highlight that. We're going to highlight that, and then we're going to take... Don't worry, it's just ice water. Or Magateers, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Shameless plug. They're on TikTok. Buy them. Best cups I've ever had. Best cups I have ever had. See what I mean? Look at you guys coming to the gifts. I appreciate you. Oh, I guess one little dribble didn't come down. Whatever, it was for my straw. I don't give a shit. It'll dry. Meanwhile, the threat of transnational terrorism remains acute. The region boasts some of the fastest growing economies on Earth. The humiliating withdrawal of the U.S. troops from Afghanistan after a 20-year military campaign has created new challenges. It has provided an opportunity to reset the deeply troubled U.S.-Pakistan relationship and reassess U.S. counterterrorism strategy in the region. The long-standing India-Pakistan rivalry and tensions regarding the disputed territory of Kashmir continue to pose risks to regional stability, especially because both countries are nuclear powers. The State Department's role in strengthening the region, security, and economic framework linking the U.S. and India is crucial. In addition, the department has important functional responsibilities in dealing with a range of threats, from nuclear proliferation to transnational proliferation. While American statecraft should seek to improve bilateral relations throughout the region, U.S. policy must be clear-eyed and realistic about the perfidiousness of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan and military political rule in Pakistan. There can be no expectations of normal relations with either. Interesting. Page 189, the top. The priority for statecraft is advancing in the U.S.-Indian role as a cornerstone of the Quad, a cooperative framework including U.S., India, Japan, and Australia. That's what they consider the Quad. The Quad is comprised of the key nations in coordinating efforts for a free and open Indo-Pacific. It is an overarching group that nests the key U.S. bilateral and trilateral cooperative efforts that facilitate U.S. collaborative efforts across the Indo-Pacific. The State Department should also encourage Quad Plus concept that allows other regional powers to participate in Quad coordination in issues of mutual interest. Further, the State Department must support an integrated federal effort to deliver revamped regional strategies for South Asia, as well as leading the execution of key tasks to implement the strategy. So that's what they're referring to when they talk to South and Central Asia. Now we are on to the Arctic, and for that I think we should use a blue one. The Arctic. Because of Alaska, the U.S. is an Arctic nation. The Arctic is a vast expanse of land and sea, rich in resources including fish, minerals, and energy. For example, the region is estimated to contain 90 million barrels of oil and 1/4 of the world's undiscovered natural gas reserves. That is why they want to tap the Baltic. That is exactly why they want to do it. Because they have 90 million barrels of oil and 1/4 of the world's undiscovered natural gas reserves. Oh, thank you for the rose, Amanda. I appreciate you. Again, they want to move away from green energy and tap into the Arctic. So this is what they're going to talk about. Watch. It's going to be like, this is what it is, blah, 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 blah. These are the facts. Right here. The Arctic is lightly populated. Only 4 million people in the world live above the Arctic Circle, with more than half of those living in Russia. Only around 68,000 people in Alaska live above the Arctic Circle. However, the sheer immensity of Alaskan Arctic means its population density is less than 1 person per square mile. See? Facts, 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 facts. The United States has several strong interests to the Arctic region. The rate of melting ice during summer months has led to an increased interest not only from shipping and tourism sectors, but also from America's global competitors who are interested in exploiting the region's strategic importance and assessing its bounty of natural resources. See, they are counting on shit keep melting. Do you see right there? Right there. It's like, oh, we want to have business because, well, it's already happening. So, I mean, we might as well exploit it, right? Yeah, that's going to be highlighted. The rate of melting ice. In the not too distant future, there will be growing interest in the Arctic from both state and non-state actors alike. China has been open about its interest in the region, primarily as a highway for trade, but also for its rich natural resources. While the PRC increasing intervention in the Arctic affairs is a bit strained because it does not have Arctic coastline, Russia does. And Russia has made no secret of its view that the Arctic is vital for an economic and military reasons. Russia has invested heavily in new and refurbished Arctic-based cold weather equipment and capabilities. The North Star of the U.S. Arctic policy should remain the national sovereignty safeguarded through robust capabilities as well as through diplomatic, economic, and legal attentiveness. So what they're saying is they're scared as shit that Russia's going to take over and get these resources. So we're like, oh, we got to make sure that we keep that. The U.S. Arctic policy, as it's called. That's on page 189. The next administration, here we go. This is what they're telling us, what the recommendation should be. The next administration should embrace the view that NATO must acknowledge that it is in part the Arctic Alliance. With likely accession of Finland and Sweden to NATO, every Arctic nation except Russia will be a NATO member state. NATO has been slow to appreciate that the Arctic is a theater that it must defend, especially considering Russia's brazen aggression against Ukraine. NATO must develop and implement an Arctic strategy that recognizes the importance of the region and ensures that Russia's use of Arctic waters and resources does not exceed a reasonable footprint. The U.S. should unapologetically pursue American interests in the Arctic by promoting economic freedom in the region. Exploit resources. Right there, exploiting. They don't want Russia to have it. They want to make sure that they have nothing to it, and then they want to exploit it. They don't want the PRC to have it, but PRC doesn't have water rights. They want to exploit it. It's all about exploiting. It's all about getting power. It's all about getting what you need. See what I mean? That's how it works. The U.S. shouldn't work to ensure that shipping lanes in the Arctic remain available to all global commercial traffic and free of erroneous fees and burdensome administrative, regulatory, and military requirements. And highlight that. While this should be the next administration's policy with respect to all countries that seek to block free-flowing commercial traffic, the next administration will clearly have to exert substantial attention toward Russia. Both the U.S. Coast Guard and the U.S. Navy are vital tools to ensure an unmonopolized Arctic. That's a mouthful. Unmonopolized Arctic. It is imperative that the Navy and Coast Guard continue to expand their fleets, including planned icebreaker acquisitions to Arctic access the United States and other friendly actors. We've talked about why the term forced gain is bad. Like, they're trying to make it so that everybody's stationed on every little island everywhere, but then so our military presence is there, but they're not going to restock them in case something happens. So them talking about Navy and the Coast Guard coming together, it's to also mitigate that risk. The remote and harsh conditions of the Arctic also make unmanned system investment and use particularly appealing for providing additional situational awareness, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. The Coast Guard should also consider upgrading facilities such as its Barrow Station to reinforce its Arctic capabilities that demonstrate the greater commitment to that region. The People's Republic of China has declared itself a near-Arctic state, which has imaginary term non-existent in international discourse. The United States should work with like-minded Arctic nations, including Russia. The United States should work with like-minded Arctic nations, including Russia, to raise legitimate concerns about the PRC's so-called Polar Silk Road ambitions. So no Russia, but hey, if it's gonna go against the PRC, come on, Russia, let's do this. Really? Concerning Greenland. Oh, thank you, Mom for Roses. I appreciate you. Concerning Greenland, the opening of the U.S. consulate in Nuuk is welcome. A formal year-round diplomatic presence is an effective way for the U.S. to better understand local political and economic dynamics. Furthermore, given to Greenland's geographic proximity and its rising potential as a commercial and tourist location, the next administration should pursue policies that enhance economic ties between the U.S. and Greenland. Because why? They want to exploit it. Exactly. International organizations. This is the next bullet. So we've gone through all the regions. Now this is international organizations. Defending and protecting the American people. Ooh, sorry, my nose itches. And advancing their interests requires the United States to engage in a broad spectrum of bilateral and multilateral relationships, including participating in international organizations. Working with other governments through international organizations like the UN can be tremendously useful, but membership in these organizations must always be understood as a means to attain defined goals rather than to an end itself. Engagement with international organizations is a relatively easy way for the U.S. to defend its interests and seek to address problems in concert with other nations. But it's not the only option. The American diplomats should be clear-eyed about international organizations' strengths and weaknesses. When such institutions act against U.S. interests, the United States must be prepared to take appropriate steps in response, up to and including withdrawal. The manifest failure and corruption of the WHO during COVID-19 pandemic is an example of the danger that international organizations pose to U.S. citizens and interests. So they want to get rid of the WHO because they're blaming the U.S. failure on the WHO. It's always about projection. It should be called Projection 2025. The next administration must end blind support for international organizations. If an international organization is effective and advances American interests, the United States should support it. If an international organization is ineffective or does not support American interests, the United States should not support it. Those that are effective will still require constant pressure from U.S. officials to ensure that they remain effective. Serious consideration should also be given to the withdrawal from organizations that no longer have value, quietly undermine U.S. interests or goals, or disproportionately rely on U.S. financial contributions to survive. So we're going to see which ones they're referring to, because I'm pretty sure I know, but I want to make sure that they've actually written it out. The Trump administration. So again, he's not involved. The Trump administration, page 191. The Trump administration's tough love approach to international organizations served American interests. For example, the Trump administration withdrew from or terminated funding for United Nations Human Rights Council, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, and the United Nations Relief Works Agency, and the WHO. That is, think about what that just says. He withdrew from the United Nations Human Rights Council, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, the United States Nations Relief Worker Agency, and the WHO. He just was like, they're not paying their bills. They don't really suit us. The results were redeployment of taxpayer dollars to better uses Wow, they call it redeployments. Weird. And other organizations getting the message. So they did that so that other nations would get the message of Trump's tough love. That is some bullshit. Getting the message that the United States will not allow itself and its money to be used to undermine its own interests. It does it daily. Okay, so what's happening? Trump is 100% involved. And again, guys, if you're a Trump humper, diehard MAGA, read it. Read it. Read it and tell me he's not involved. If you don't read it, shut the fuck up, because you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You're taking it from a Truth Social tweet. If you don't read it, you don't fucking know what's in it. I don't give a damn how many times he disavows it. He's a fucking narcissistic megalomaniac liar. What at this point in 2024 do you not understand? He does not give a fuck about you. He does not care. And for all of you to come in here and be like, he said he's not for it, he said he's against it. False. Read it. What in here is false? What in here is not fact-based? This is their fucking book. This is their fucking book. J.D. Vance owned fucking Rumble. What's Rumble? The biggest mis and disinformation from Russia. If you are going to say that Trump is not involved, read it and have an actual discussion. Don't just have fucking sound bites and sound like a fucking moron day after day after day. See, because that is the whole MAGA playbook. It doesn't matter what you fucking say, just as long as you say it. It doesn't have to be fact. It doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be politically anything. Trump allows people to be the worst versions of humanity. And for that, they will follow him into hell. A man died in Butler, PA, following that man into hell. And for any of you who have read any ballistics reports that have come out about his little fucking ear piercing, you would know that that was not a bullet. It wasn't. It wasn't. But, yeah, fight, bullshit. And again, Secret Service protocol is 30 seconds to get him out of there and 60 seconds to a secure location. But this motherfucker had to find his shoes. This motherfucker had to stand up and see him fight, and risk it and put his head and chest out there. How does he know there was not more than one pew-pewer? This is what I do not understand about any of you MAGA. What is it that he provides and gives to you that makes you feel so fucking American that you're going to vote for him? He is a felon. If Kamala Harris had 34 felonies, y'all would fucking send her packing. Y'all would be like, get the fuck out. But Trump's like, does it? And you're like, no, he's innocent. No, he's fucking guilty. He's grifting because he knows it's prison or prison. He's going to fucking jail, and he's not going to be a president. Ever again. 2021, January 6th, 2021, was the fucking dress rehearsal. Okay? We are aware that a lot of you are like, we're going to stick over him regardless. Y'all fucking look dumb. Like, how do you square that with yours? How do you look in the mirror and then tell me that this is false when you've not read one fucking page? Tell me how you think you know more than me what's in this document when I'm 191 pages balls deep into this bullshit and all you're going to say is Trump 2024. It's okay to have lower IQs. It's not okay to stay there when you're a fucking moron and keep following him into a path. He's not gonna be president. And you can't say that he disavows this because he's a fucking liar. So now, I'm gonna get back to reading so I can prove to you over and over and over and over again that yes, this was started in the 80s. Yes, it's had 9 revisions. Yes, it was 3,000 pages down to 920. Yes, 17 or 18 now of the 36 authors worked for and with Donald Trump during his presidency. So for you to act like he's not involved, bitch, the call is coming from inside the fucking house. This is not brain science. I cannot understand how anybody with any education can look at this man and be like, yep, totally gonna vote for him again. Why? What does he allow you to do that a Democratic president would not? Show hate, rage farm, be a stan of Elon's? What is it? What the fuck is it about this man that is so much better than anything Democratic? Tell me. Tell me what was better. We had lower prices. We were in a fucking pandemic. We had a no supply and then a surplus. That's what that is. Well, prices are outrageous. They're outrageous, right? Inflation. That is greed from fucking companies. Well, yeah, Biden's old. Biden's not in it anymore. Yeah, well, you guys didn't vote in Kamala. Yes, the fuck we did. Yes, we did. Because anytime anything happens to Biden, guess who is the fucking president? Right away. That would be Kamala. She was on the ticket. If it wasn't him, it was going to be her. And that was what the presumptive was. She has the delegates. She has the money. And she doesn't have to use that money for any fucking legal fees or bankruptcies or golf fees or any other bullshit. He's grifting you. He does not care. He is a old, senile fucking fuck. That's it. He's a dumbass. He has conned people his entire life, and he is conning you. And I understand that hurts, but this shit started in 2016. If 8 years later you have not learned your fucking lesson, you are never going to learn your fucking lesson. Otherwise, you are just a misogynistic, fucking homophobic, transphobic piece of shit who believes that women should be back behind the counter. You know, go ahead. Go ahead, bitch. We're not going back. Trump decided to fucking stack the court with picks that he wanted. And that took away a woman's rights. And women went, hold my fucking everything. And when we come out in numbers and when we have the vote and when it is tabulated and when it is certified and y'all go home fucking crying, let me know. Because I'll still be reading this document. I'll still be putting in the bullshit. I will still be saying what it is. Because until you educate yourself and until you read this, you have no fucking dog in this fight. Your Trump 2024 bullshit is so fucking old. Please, for the love of God, say something fucking else. Say something other than a Donnie soundbite. My God, give my brain something else to read. Because after a while, you just sound like fucking kindergartners who are pissed off that your milk is spoiled. Now, rant over, let's get back to it. We are on page 191. And we're talking about the next administration for international organizations. The Biden administration reversed many of its decisions. Currently, U.S. funding for international organizations is more than $16 billion in fiscal year 2021, a sharp increase from the $10.8 billion in fiscal 2015. Millions of American taxpayer dollars go to support policies and initiatives that hurt the United States and American citizens. The next administration, highlight, should direct the Secretary of State to initiate a comprehensive cost-benefit analysis of U.S. participation in all organizations. This review should take into account long-standing provisions in federal law that prohibit the use of taxpayer dollars to promote, here we go, the next administration, prohibit the use of taxpayer dollars to promote abortion, population control, and terrorist activities, as well as all other areas of applicable restrictions on funding for international organizations and agencies with a view of withholding U.S. funds in case of abuses. Think about what that just said. So it wasn't just like, oh, we're having terrorist activities, we're going to throw abortion in there too. We're going to put that right there. Population control. They need a workforce. I don't know if you are paying attention or listening, but every time they're talking about babies, let me clear for you right now. They want white babies. They want white babies to keep repopulating. And they want white babies like me, they want to keep having children so they can control them. And anybody who doesn't look like me, they want as a workforce. Why do you think they want school vouchers? Why do you think they want school vouchers? Because then the private schools that already have children there will get more funding. It will take money away from other schools. You will see in this document, it talks about getting rid of fucking Head Start. Think about that. If you keep the poor poorer, if you keep those that look like me pregnant and stupid and forced into a marriage, because it talks about that in here too. It talks about ending no-fault divorce. So once you get married, you're fucked. You can't get divorced. Widow rates are going to increase exponentially if that were to happen. Let me explain that right now. So any time that they can put something in to right here, so they will link a terrorist activity to population control and abortion. And if you have any of those, well, you're not going to get our funding. Fucking dumb. International organizations should not be used to promote radical social policies as if they were human rights priorities. Abortions are human rights priorities. It is healthcare between a woman and her doctor. And we're going to be like, oh, right here, we're going to be like, oh, you can't define what a woman is. Yeah, I can. If a woman says she's a woman, she's a woman. If a trans woman says she's a woman, she's a woman. If a woman says she's a woman, she's a woman. How hard is that? Why do you care how somebody identifies? Unless it affects you. If you are a consenting adult, I don't give a damn how you live as long as you don't hurt people. This motherfucker hurts people. He wants to take money away from international organizations because they believe in abortion, when the only people who don't believe in abortion are national, like Christian nationalists. Go ahead. Go ahead. See what any other religion talks about. Jewish faith is totally fine with abortion. Life of the mother. So they're talking about Christian life. White Christian life. White population control. Make more babies so we can control you. And those of you who do not have my color, pasty white pale skin, create a workforce. Take away the education. Take away resources. Keep them dumb. Keep them poor. It's about control. Whether you like it or not, this entire document is about control. And they have had 40 fucking years to write it. And some of you have not heard of it until now. I mean, I heard about it a little while ago. So I started thumbing through and going, wait, this is a little bit crazy. Is this really what's happening? Yeah, it is. It is. International organizations should not be used to promote radical social policies as if they were human rights priorities. Doing so undermines actual human rights and weakens U.S. credibility abroad. No, it doesn't. It strengthens it. Understanding that abortion is healthcare does not weaken our U.S. credibility. It strengthens it because it believes in women. It believes in persons who have uteruses. It believes in I don't owe you shit and the 4B movement. The next administration should use its voice, influence, votes, and funding in international organizations, highlight, to promote authentic human rights and respect for sovereignty based on the binding international obligations contained in its treaties that have been constitutionally ratified by the United States government. It must promote a strict text-based interpretation of treaty obligations that does not consider human rights as treaties as living instruments both within the State Department and within international organizations that receive U.S. funding, including by making respect for sovereignty and authentic human right of a litmus test of personal decisions and election processes within international organizations. That is a long fucking way to say control, control, control. If you don't do what we say, and you're an international organization, we're going to cut off your fucking funding, and we're not going to allow you to have anything. That's what that says. Human rights, my ass. The U.S. Commission on Unalienable Human Rights, focused on the primary of civil and political rights, is in its inaugural report, which remains an important guidepost for bilateral and multilateral engagements on human rights. The Commission's report is a roadmap for revamping and re-energizing U.S. human rights policy and should be the basis for both structural and policy changes throughout the United States Department. Ooh. Why would they... I don't like... So we're going to highlight that. We're going to come back to that one. When I summarize, we're going to talk more about that. All U.S. multilateral engagements must be reevaluated in light of the work of the Commission and initiatives that promote controversial policies but must be halted and rolled back. It is paramount to create a healthy culture for respect for life, the family, sovereignty, and authentic human rights in international organizations and agencies. It means if you are a Christian, if you will have babies, if you will eat the Christian lifestyle, yum, 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 then you can be part of us. If not, you're against us. Simple. When they talk about the family, they are not talking about every family. They are talking about a mother, a father, and children. They are not talking about single mothers. They are not talking about gay parents. They are not talking about single cat ladies. They are not talking about people who are in partnerships. They're not talking about people who never get married. They're talking about people who remain single always. They talk about family, and what they refer to is a man, a woman, and children. Not just a man and wife. Not just a wife. Not just a husband. Not a husband and a husband. Not a wife and a wife. Not somebody's grandma who decided to adopt 15 kids but was never married. See what I mean? Like, it's, when they talk about family, they are talking about a white Christian family. Period. And they say it over and over and over again. They will rephrase it. It is all family based. It is, we are pro family. No, you are pro workforce. You are pro control. You are pro Gilead. That is what you are pro. To support this goal, the U.S. led an effort during the Trump administration, but he's not in it, right? To forge a consensus among like-minded countries in support of human life, women's health, and support of the family as the basic unit of a human society and defense of national sovereignty. Have babies. Have babies. Have babies. That's what it's talking about. The result was the Geneva Consensus Declaration on Women's Health and Protection of the Family. Highlight that. All U.S. foreign policy engagements that were produced and expanded under the Obama and Biden administrations must be aligned with the Geneva Consensus Declaration and work with the U.S. Commission on Unalienable Human Rights. The U.S. government should not and cannot, page 192, I'll make it big and bold pink. The United States government should not and cannot promote or fund abortion in international programs or multilateral organizations. Oh, thank you for the gifts, guys. I appreciate you. I apologize I'm not seeing them. I am trying to read and I'm ranting a little bit, so I get it. But they're trying to say what you can and cannot do. Oh, thank you, Melanie, for the rose. What you can and cannot do in other countries. So you want to be part of us? Make sure that there's no abortions. Trying to control the people. Technically, the United States can prevent its international funding from going toward abortions, but the U.S. will have a greater impact by including like-minded nations and building a coalition launched through the Geneva Consensus Declaration with a view to shaping the work of international agencies by functioning as a united front. Whew. The COVID-19 pandemic made it painfully clear that both international organizations and some countries are only too willing to trample human rights in the name of public health. Bitch. I want to say that I think I might know. Michael, thank you for the lights. I appreciate you. Now that I was bedazzled. Remind me which country had the most COVID cases. Was it India? Was it Russia? France? No. Canada? It was us. The United States. Who was president at that time? Dipshit McGee. Okay, and what country had the most deaths? Go ahead. I'll wait. Fucking United States. So to blame the COVID-19 pandemic made it painfully clear that both international organizations and some countries are only too willing to trample on human rights in the name of health. So they're going to bitch about masks again. For example, the WHO was and remains willing to support the suppression of basic rights partially because of its close relationship with human rights abusers like the PRC. Now they're going to linking people who didn't want to wear masks and abortions to the PRC. The next administration, here's how we highlight, the next administration should unequivocally embrace the premise that humanity and the international community can simultaneously tackle pandemics and other emergent health issue threats without impeding the rights of people. You are talking about fucking masks. You were talking about vaccines. We were the worst country. Bar none. You can't blame other organizations for people telling you wear a fucking mask. Get a fucking vaccine. Yes, there are people who cannot wear masks. Absolutely. There are absolutely people who cannot. And there are absolutely people who cannot be vaccinated. Absolutely cannot. The majority can and should have. And everybody's like, oh, I thought if we weren't vaccinated, we all should be dead by now. You can thank the vaccinated. And you know who else was vaccinated? Fucking Trump. So for all of you ever preaching about stupid bullshit about, I'm not taking the fucking jab, your leader took the jab. Your leader almost fucking died at Walter Reed because he's a narcissist. So just remember that. Oh, thank you for that, Kid Tag. I appreciate that. Remember that. That is what he did. He would be like, fuck masks. Masks are bad. He'd have to wear a mask. Don't get vaccinated. I'm not taking the jab. He was vaccinated more than once. People are alive because other people took proactive measures. There are a lot of people that died for being fucking morons. Plain and simple. You don't want to wear a mask, you don't want to keep distance, you don't want to get vaccinated, and you wonder why you fucking died. It wasn't just the United States that suffered. It was the entire world. You know, and then to blame it. Oh, thank you, Queen Ursula. I appreciate you to blame it. And be like, the U.S. is not going to we're not going to require masks. It was the whole fucking planet. But we had a narcissist running our country who made it about himself. This is unpatriotic to wear a mask. Why? Don't you see doctors wear masks all the time? Pre-pandemic in surgery? People who have chemo? People who have immunocompromised systems? You see them wearing masks and you don't wear like, pussy, like you never said that shit before. We didn't know anything about COVID. We didn't know how it was going to transmit. We didn't know what was going on. But we knew the leader at the time was a fucking moron. And he harmed so many people. So again, when they talk about the family unit, they want to repopulate. Oh, thank you to Cameron for the roses. I appreciate you. Look at you coming in hard with that. They have to repopulate because they killed off people. 1 million dead. And they'll say, well, a lot of those were during the Biden administration. Biden was trying to play catch up from the dipshit who wanted everybody dead. He didn't care. He didn't care. You're a liability. You're just a liability. Thank you for the vote, Melanie. I appreciate you. It also must become a vocal surrogate for people in countries where rights are being suppressed in the name of health. This will likely require great restriction on the supply of federal dollars to the WHO and other health-focused international organizations pending adjustments of their policies. The United States must return to treating international organizations as vehicles for promoting American interests or take steps to extract itself from those organizations. Okay, so here's what it looks like shaping the future. Look at that. Oh my goodness, almost 58,000 likes. Girls, what is happening? I love you. Thank you for the love. See, that's what I appreciate. I appreciate the likes, follows, shares, and comments. You have to give shit. This is amazing. I'm all about it. Do it. Oh, but thank you, Why Bother for the Rose. I appreciate you. That is amazing. Oh, look at Raymond's coming in with the heart. Look at you guys. I appreciate it. But I just like the light. Look at 59.4. Can we get to 60? Can we get to 60? Can we get to 60? 60. Look at you guys coming in with that. Oh my God. That's amazing. I love the likes because I like the love. I love that I can give you the information and that you will be here to listen. And that you can try, if I can take one person, just one person, and make them at least just critically think about what this document is. Oh, thank you, Lazard. Look at you coming in. I can't even catch up with all of this. Woo! Look at you. Is it Lizor? Fingers, corn. Oh my goodness. I don't even know what half of these are. So thank you. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate giving the knowledge. I appreciate reading information. I appreciate getting it out. I have a loud voice. I'm going to use it. So that's right. I appreciate you, Mama. Look at you. Okay, so shaping the future. Because I think if we do shaping the future, there's only a couple bulletins until, and I won't, it's 7:42. I'm going to go and I'm going to read the rest of this chapter so that when we start, because I do not do Wednesdays, guys, but I do Thursdays and Fridays, pending anything that might come up. And as a special needs parent, things always come up. So I tell you tentatively like 12. Karen with the gummy bear. Now I want gummy bears. That's right. I'm a woman who is fat, who loves gummy bears. That's fine, because that's my life. Yeah. But when we do come back to, it'll be section 7. A lot of this, guys, that we've gotten through is super, super fucking dry. It's super dry. But we're gonna get into more of the areas that are going to affect individuals rather than like an entire subsect. And you're gonna see where it's gonna be like, ooh. Like I've read a little bit ahead before I look at you, Duchess, coming in with the hearts. Look at that. Showing the love. Showing it. Showing the love, and I appreciate you. I like, look at that, 66,000 likes. Oh my God. Is it possible we could get to 100? I don't think so, but I mean, we could, it's possible. It's possible. Can we get to 100,000 likes? That might be amazing. Wouldn't like be amazing. It'd be fucking amazing. Okay. Shaping the future. Development of grant form policy strategy is the key to the next administration's success, but without addressing structural and related issues of the State Department, this strategy will be at risk. The Hart-Rudiman Commission called for a significant restructuring of the State Department specifically and foreign assistance programs generally, stating that funding increases could only be justified if there were greater confidence that these institutions would use their funding effectively. Sadly, the exact opposite has occurred. The State Department has metastasized in structure and resources, but neither the function of the department nor the use of the taxpayer dollar has improved. The next administration can take steps to remedy these deficiencies. The State Department's greatest problem is certainly not absence of resources. It's not? I thought we had to rein in those resources. As noted, the department boasts tens of thousands of employees and billions of dollars of funding, including significant amounts of discretionary funding. Was that a galaxy? What the fuck was that? Oh my God, thank you. What the hell was that? That was amazing. Like, I was gonna cry. That's so amazing. Thank you. I'm gonna take a drink. Thank you. Oh my God. They just made my night. Oh, thank you. Where was I? My ADHD brain got all like, I got off centered. Okay. The State Department's greatest problem is certainly not an absence of resources. As noted, the department boasts tens of thousands of employees and billions of dollars of funding, including significant amounts of discretionary funding. It also exists among a broader array of federal agencies that are duplicative, particularly when it comes to the provisions of direct and indirect foreign assistance. Realistically, meaningful reform of the State Department will require significant streamlining. Below are some of the key structural and operational recommendations that will be essential for the next administration's success and which will lay crucial foundations for other necessary reforms. This is going to be very important. So, number 1 bulletin. Develop a reorganization strategy. Despite periodic attempts by previous administrations, including the Trump administration, again, for those who say he's not in here, literally talks about him. This is why they had to make revision, guys. This is why revision 9 had to take place. Go look. Google is fucking free. You can see how many times they revised it and when and why. They did this to make tinier words for Donnie. Oh, Queener, thank you for the roses. I appreciate you. And yes, Agenda 47 aligns with Gummy Bear. Melissa with the Gummy Bear. My cheer queen. That's right. Sorry. This is a little from Melissa. 6-point Eagles. Score, score. Let's go, goal. Oh, yeah, 6-4. For those of you who don't believe it or do believe it, I actually was a cheerleader. And I was a fucking phenomenal one. I know you're like, that fatty? You damn right. You damn right. Duchess with the coin. Look at you coming in strong. I appreciate you. Woo. Again, I'm getting, I'm looking at the likes. I'm trying to, some of the comments, blah, blah, blah. But, because some of them are just straight MAGA. It happens all the time. Straight my looks happens all the time. But look at those likes. Oh my God, look at all you coming in with the love. I appreciate it. I want to give you all the knowledge. Even though my hair is crazy. It's nighttime. Who gives a shit? My hair's nuts. And people are like, yep, purple hair, shaved sides. Do you know why I shave the sides of my hair? Because I fucking live in Arizona and it's hot. And you know what? I also have more hair in right here than half of you males who come at me square with the fucking forehead that goes all the way back to your earline looking like Dr. fucking Phil. So I shave my head for many reasons. One, because it's hot. Two, because it pisses men off. Men who can't grow hair. I shave mine because I have... If I grew my hair out, I look like fucking Merida. It literally, that long and unruly. Dion with the rose. Thank you, Miss Dion. I appreciate you. The State Department must make more than cosmetic changes. Its structure has remained largely unchanged since the 20th century. The State Department will better serve future administrations, regardless of party, if we are to develop to be meaningfully streamlined. The next administration should develop a complete hypothetical reorganization of the department in which would tighten accountability to political leadership, reduce overhead, eliminate redundancy, waste fewer taxpayer resources, and recommend additional personnel-related changes for improvement in function. Such reorganizations could be creative, but also carefully review specific structure-related problems that have been documented over the years. This reorganization effort would necessarily assess which office closures can be carried out with or without congressional approval. Right there. They want to know what they can cut, when they can cut corners and go around Congress. Without. So they want to consolidate and get shit. This reorganization effort would necessarily assess which office closures can be carried out with and without congressional approval. Timelines for action on these fronts should be developed accordingly, but speed should be a priority. I'm sorry, 82. Look at this, 82,000 likes. Oh my God, that's amazing. Keep going. Keep going. We got this. We like democracy. We got Kamala. We're going strong. We're doing it. We're doing it, and I'm doing it. I'm reading it. We're doing it. Consolidate foreign assistance authorities. That's a mouthful. Foreign assistance is a critical foreign policy tool that is too often disconnected from the federal government's practice of foreign policy. Bureaucrats spend significant energy resisting the use of non-emergency foreign assistance to leverage positive results for the United States, even though it is perfectly reasonably propositioned. The coordination of foreign assistance dollars is also difficult because the foreign assistance budget and foreign loan insurance authorities are divided across numerous cabinet departments, smaller agencies, and other offices. The next administration should take steps to ensure that future foreign assistance clearly and unambiguously supports the president's foreign policy agenda. Bend the knee. Schedule F. That's exactly what it means. Duchess with the heart, I appreciate you. For example, the next administrator of the U.S. Agency for International Development, which is technically subordinate to the State Department, should be authorized to take on the additional role of the Director of Foreign Assistance with the rank of Deputy Secretary and oversee all foreign assistance. Ooh, no. This role, which existed briefly during the George W. Bush administration before it was eliminated by Obama, would empower a dual-headed official to better align and coordinate with the manifold foreign assistance programs across the federal government. The next administration should also evaluate whether these multiple sources of foreign assistance are in national interest, and if they are not, develop a plan to consolidate foreign assistance authorities. Make public diplomacy and international broadcasting serve American interests. Okay, so now we're going to talk about broadcasting. A key part of a U.S. foreign policy is the ability to communicate not only with the government, but with the peoples of the world. Indeed, in some ways, communicating directly with the public is more important than communicating with governments, particularly in times of governmental conflict or disagreement. Public diplomacy has historically been and remains vital to American foreign policy success. Unfortunately, the U.S. public diplomacy, which largely relies on taxpayer-funded international broadcasting outlets, has been deeply ineffective in recent years. The U.S. government's first foray in the international broadcasting started with the Voice of America radio broadcast in 1942, which was intended as a tool to communicate directly with the people of Europe during World War II. During the next half century, America's international broadcasting efforts both expanded and increased in sophistication, and the United States shifted out of its hot war in Europe into the Cold War with the Soviet Union. U.S. international broadcasting progress and the confident willingness to communicate the correctness of American ideals in the face of global resistance will arguably hit its peak at the near conclusion of the Cold War in the late 1980s. Since the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the subsequent collapse of the Soviet and Eastern Bloc communism, factors including false appeal of so-called peace divided triggered a slide in the U.S. ability to communicate a pro-freedom message to the rest of the world and its commitment to do so. Ironically, this slide accompanied the rise of the internet and mobile phone technologies, which arguably facilitate the most significant revolution in human communication since the invention of the printing press. Now they're going to talk. This is where internet and communication and the press is going to come into hand. The United States must reassert its public diplomacy obligations by restoring its international broadcasting infrastructure as part of the broader U.S. foreign policy framework, consolidating broadcasting resources and recommitting to the people focused on pro-freedom messaging content. Interesting that they would say people-focused, pro-freedom. So we've got, let me see, you've got like two, so we got like 3 pages to go. We're on the we're on the second to the last paragraph on 195 if you're following along. Engage in cyber diplomacy. Cyberspace has become an arena for competition between the U.S. and nations that seek and export digital authoritarianism. Cyberspace protection is critical to national security and deserving of commensurate diplomatic resources. Defined as the use of a diplomatic tool to address arising in and through cyberspace, cyber diplomacy is a key part of the U.S. government's toolkit for preventing and addressing cyber threats. The model for cyberspace is that the U.S. espouses it's based on democracy and freedom of information. It is an open, interoperable, secure, reliable, market-driven domain that reflects democratic values and protects privacy. I'm just gonna highlight there. Look at that, 94,000. Okay, we got 2.5 pages to go. Can we get to 100K? Can we get to 100K likes? That's all I want. Russia and China, meanwhile, are authoritarian regimes that use the internet to limit public opposition and control information. They have created technological tools to enforce dominance over their peoples, and the UN and international organizations dealing with cyberspace, they strive to push standards that assist their totalitarian efforts to undermine Western nations. Simultaneously, Russia, China, and lesser adversaries should exploit the more open networks of countries like the U.S. to undermine democracy through disinformation and propaganda. Right there. That's a big ass highlight. They have attempted to influence U.S. elections. Bitch, they didn't attempt shit. They did. This is how this all fucking starts. Hello? They enabled or encouraged actors to exploit cyber vulnerabilities, commit theft of real or intellectual property, and have challenged the U.S. governmental, military, and crucial infrastructure networks within targeted malware. I'm going to highlight that one, a different one, because when I do my summary, I want to make sure we hit both of those, and sometimes it's too long. In short, the cyberspace era has gradually evolved from one of exploration, innovation, and cooperation to one that retains these features but is also marked by aggressive competition and persistent threats. To meet this reality, the State Department must move beyond its traditional model of attempting to establish non-binding informal world standards of acceptable cyberspace behavior. The State Department should work with its allies to establish a clear framework of enforceable norms for action in cyberspace, moving beyond the voluntary norms of the United Nations group of governmental experts. The State Department should also assist in the Department of Defense to go on offense against adversaries. Deterrence as a strategic approach has not stemmed the onslaught of cyber aggression below the level of armed conflict. The traditional U.S. defensive approach based on deterrence followed by reaction to crossed red lines is no longer effective. Adversaries can evade this strategy through multiple tactical lines of action below the level of armed conflict, and such actions have a cumulative strategic effect. The State Department's role should be to work with allies to engage adversaries when necessary to draw clear lines of unacceptable conduct. Global financial infrastructure, nuclear controls, and public health are particularly important areas in which consensus may even be found across ideological lines. I'm going to highlight that. Control, control, control. These mission-essential initiatives should be joined with others to establish a presidentially directed and durable U.S. foreign policy. In conclusion, okay, guys, we're at the conclusion. Let's see. Yep, we've got like half a page to go. The next conservative president has the opportunity and the duty to restructure the creation and execution of the U.S. foreign policy so that it is focused on his or her vision for the nation's role in the world. The policy, ideas, and reform recommendations outlined in this chapter provide guidance about how the State Department can contribute to the objective. In the main, this chapter refocuses attention away from special interests and social experiments that are used in some quarters to capture U.S. foreign policy. The ideas and recommendations herein are premised on the belief that a rigorous adherence to the national interest is the most enduring foundation for the U.S. grand strategy in the 21st century. Bam! We went, oh, look at, we hit 100K! Yeah, I'm so excited. That makes me happy. It makes me happy because it means you're listening and we're tapping. Just tap, 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 and listening. So, guys, we made it through. Holy shit. So now, because I keep tabs, we went 185. So we did page 185 through 200. 15 pages. You guys stayed for 15 pages. I am so impressed with you. I understand your ears are probably bleeding. You're probably like, I am so done with this shit. But again, a lot of this is Halo coming in with the vote ticker. Yeah, vote, 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 vote. Vote blue, vote boo. Go blue. I know that this is a lot. This is a lot. Coming in hard. Look at you coming in with the gifts. I appreciate that. Oh my God. I don't expect any of this, guys. So this is just amazing to me to see. It tells me that you're interacting. But again, I just like your comments and I like your likes and I like your ears. That's what I like. This is a lot. It is so... Girl, look at you coming in still. That's a shot. Thank you, Halo. Thank you. Look at you, Halo. I love you, girl. This is a lot. I admit, this is a lot. And I get sidetracked and I apologize. That's my ADHD in its own right. But I want to make sure that we get through all of this. So, whoop. One moment. So 200 pages in. We are 2 200 pages in. I didn't think we'd be 200 pages before the end of July. I really didn't. I was like, this is a little bit scary. What is that? Is it? I can't do with it. Is it a snail? Or it looks like almost like a gnome snail. That's adorable. This is so far what we've read. Look at that. We've gone through all. This is what we have left to read in this binder. Honeybee with the glasses. Those are so cute. Thank you. It's a hard read. It's a hard read because a lot of it is like, what am I reading? I don't understand what this means. It is something they have honed in on, something they have worked very diligently on. They know that a lot of this is just boring, but that's why I want to read it in its entirety. I appreciate everybody who's doing the highlights and says, oh, we found this, or oh, we found that. And that's great. Hell to the yes. And I will always bookmark that, so I make sure to address that when I do see it. But I want all the facts. Give me all the receipts. Give me everything in writing. I want it here, because nothing makes you sound more inadequate than just coming in and just talking bullshit when you've not read and done the research. I can't do your research. It doesn't get more researchery. That's not even a word. It doesn't get more researchery than that. I don't like to I like to talk shit, but I like to talk about shit that is real. I don't like to just, Tex-Mex coming in with the vote stickers. I like to come in with facts, because one time in my life, years and years ago, Tex-Mex coming in hard. I wanted to be a lawyer. Lee coming in with the vote stickers. Vote. We're like 98 days. 98. We are in double digits. We are out of triple digits. We are. Tomorrow is the end of July, so we've got August, September, October. The DNC is coming. She's going to pick her VP. Mark coming in with the vote stickers. Look at you guys. I am so appreciative of you. We can do this. And with you guys coming in here and commenting or sharing or just whatever, listening, later YouTubing, subscribing over there if you want. I get it. It's boring. But hopefully I can make it just a little bit more tolerable. Hopefully that when you have all the information, when you have all the facts, when you have it all, then and only then can you make an informed decision. And the more that I read this, the more it should fucking terrify you. Because if this were to come into existence, this would be the bane of our existence. Every single election that has ever happened has been important. Every single one. Every single one. This vote right here is going to have a shift one of two ways. It's like a Hadron Collider. Like you're trying to take two atoms and smash them together. This is that pinnacle moment. This is the time that they will talk about in history books going forward. During this time, when we induct Kamala, its 250-year anniversary is, I think it's 2026, if I'm mistaken. Math. Yeah, 2026. 250 years. 250. The next president will be installed, elected in, and it will be the 250th anniversary. And it will be the first time that we have a Black, Indian, female president. And that is something that we should look at as a whole. Because when Kamala comes on the world stage, all you have ever seen across the U.S. stage in presidents is white males. White males. White males. White straight males. Well, white males. Some of them, not so much straight, but always on the DL. But when you have a black woman coming up to the front and going on the world stage against our adversaries, bitch, they don't have anything. And they're going to be like, holy fuck. Watch what UK did. Watch what France did. Right now in Venezuela, that is burning down right now. And now us. We have a chance to tell these stories to our great grandchildren that this was the time that we stepped in or we put our head in the sand. And I refuse to have less rights than my grandmother did, than my mother did. I just refuse. What he has done to women is inexcusable. What he has done to the LGBTQI plus community is inexcusable. What he has done to refugees and immigrants is unexcusable. I refuse to let him. This man has talked shit about people who are elderly, who are disabled. He has talked so much shit about everyone. And he hurts our country. And it's like, well, what's Kamala ever done? He was a fucking failed con man and became a president. Bitch, go mow your wife. Ex-wife. Yeah, I'd be curious to see why ashes are in that big of a grave, but that's just me. This is, I won't lie, I see this in my sleep because I read it and I go back and I will do summaries that are a little bit easier to understand, a little less like the Department of the Secretary of the agency with the, it reads like stereo instructions. It's intentional. It's intentional to read that way. The authors made it boring and then put their little beep in it. So when we convene on Thursday, we will be starting with the intelligence community on page 201. That means we only have 720 pages to go in like 98 days. And we can do it. We can do it with your help, with your love, with your showing up. That's all I care about. That's all I care about. Because I care about you. Believe it or not, I care about people who are MAGA too because they just do not realize how fucking gaslit they've been. They don't realize that he does not care about them. And that, in some respect, as a human, that hurts my heart. It hurts my heart that there are people who do not realize he does not give a fuck about you. And all you need to know was, plain and simple, he made that ear piercing about him. He didn't die. It was glass, if anything. And fine, let me see the medical report. Let me see the medical report. I mean, everything that's come out about this just it reeks. It was awful. But a man who supported him wholeheartedly, full on in, got Ashley Babbitt in the fucking grandstands. Think about that for just a minute. And he goes up and hugs like his old fireman's jacket, but they got the fucking name wrong. That should tell you all you need to know about a sitting president. Because Biden did reach out, but she didn't want to talk to him. Because my husband was a lifelong Republican. Took Donnie a week. A man died for him. And it took him a week. Biden called the next day, but she didn't want to take the call. Content of character matters. People matter. White, rich males are scared because they're trying to play Squid Game, American style, and it's not working. White, rich males control the narrative, and now they're not able to because we're shattering ceilings. First it was black females with their Zoom call. Then it was black males with their Zoom call. And then it was white women with their Zoom call. And then it was white dudes. So much money was raised. Fucking Elon suspended their account. Excuse me. He suspended their Twitter account. Carla with the fingers. So every time that you see some kind of suppression coming in, it's because you're doing right. They're scared. They're scared. They can't control what's happened. We have not been, thank you for the heart hands, we have not been this energized, and I have not felt this hopeful since, I mean, the last election, we saw what happened. Look, total sidebar story, just a little personal with me. I was pregnant. When I watched Obama fly away, and like a pregnant hot mess I was, sobbed because I just knew in my mom tuition, oh, thank you, Christy, for the rose, that this was going to be bad. I just didn't know how bad. And I hope that when she is elected, and she will be, and the rhetoric dies down, that we realize he'll never be president again because we already think he's too old. So that would mean he would be like, what, 82, 83 at that point? He's already fucking senile now. He's demented and sundownered now. But they're going to push him. They're going to prop him because he doesn't care. I will tell you right now, if somebody had to tell me what world I was living in, one led by Kamala Harris or one led by Donald Trump, I would pick Kamala every single time. There is not one scenario in this world where I would pick Donald. Not one. I don't give a damn what multiverse you live in. I don't give a damn what time era you live in. It would make no difference. There is no scenario in which I would vote for him. Period. You could promise that you would cure cancer. By the way, that's coming up. That is a little nugget surprise. There was I actually watched a TikTok today and I looked into it and I was like, oh my God, it's true. I'll have to remember what section it was because I highlighted it because I've highlighted a bunch of things. They basically want to make chemo illegal for women because it would damage reproductive tissue. Think about that. Think about that. You could be a mother who's already had 3 children and still of childbearing age, and they want to deny you chemo. That's what this fucking thing says. They want to deny you chemo. They want to keep you in marriages where domestic violence is a problem. They want you to marry your rapist. They want you to carry the baby. They don't want you to have an abortion. Doesn't matter. And this whole argument of abortion after birth, that's called murder. Nobody believes in that. And abortion should only be between a medical doctor and a woman. Because what all of you males, I'll say males, but then there are some very misguided females as well, fail to realize is I have never in my life seen a woman go, yes, it's abortion day, yeah. No one. It changes you forever. It changes you forever. And a lot of those babies were wanted, but couldn't come to term. Microcephaly, die in the womb, going to kill the mother. And I think that when we are so cruel as a society to lump every single, I don't give a damn, by the way, P.S., if a woman wants to have an abortion every single fucking month of her life, it's not my business. If that's what she chooses to use as birth control, then that's what she chooses to use. Because a mother, it is a mother because she chooses to be a mother. A fetus cannot survive without its host. So if you can take a baby out and be like, okay, clump of cells, oh, no. A man said I couldn't. Tommy Tuberville withheld military promotions because he wanted to control what women could do. Think about that. Think about that. He risked our military operations. He risked people who were due for promotions, who had served our country honorably for decades. He withheld their promotions because of abortion. White, rich fucks and senators will always have access to abortion. Period. Knocking up their fucking secretary, whatever they want to do, they will have access. You don't want other people to have access because it's about control. Period. This thing over and over and over. Climate change, abortion, LGBTQ, DACA, immigrants, everything that is anti-white male, anything that doesn't bolster white maleness, conservative white maleness, because there are many, many, many liberal men out there. So I see you and I appreciate you. One of those being my husband. You would choose my husband over the bear anytime. Because he believes in human rights. And he believes it's a woman's choice. And he believes in the sanctity of marriage. And he believes in equality and civil rights. All the things they want to take away. It's okay to have a difference of opinion. But if your religion tramples on my way of life, you need a new religion. You don't need to control my fucking life. That's not what Jesus would want anyway. Period. Full stop. All right, guys. Well, I have been talking long enough. I've appreciated you. It is now 8:17. I'm going to cut it about 13 minutes because I don't want to start a whole new chapter. It will go because this last chapter is... God, how long is this one? I will count it out before I go, and then I will skeet and daddle. Okay, so it's about 30, it's 31 pages long. So this next chapter is probably going to take me Thursday and Friday, I'm not going to lie, but then we should be able to go back onto chapter 8, section 8, for, it won't be Monday, because it'll be Wednesday, or shoot, I'll have to figure that out. I may have to do something this weekend. It'll go then to media agencies, and that's going to be chapter 8. We're starting with intelligence community and then going on to media agencies. We can do this. We are strong. We've got this. Kamala's going to be president. I just want to give you the knowledge. But I thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming in late. I apologize I couldn't be there noon today. But again, I'm a mom first and an advocate second. So I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you for over the 100K. I appreciate you. I love all of you. And I hope to see you on the flip. See you Thursday.